I wasn't even going to waste your time with this. I wasn't even going to waste my time with this. Why devote any bandwidth, so to speak, to this crazy cockamamie scheme to have members of the Electoral College deny Donald Trump the presidency? I mean, let's talk about how nuts this thing really is. Every 4 years, sometimes you have one or two electors who kind of go rogue and don't support the candidate who won their state. But now, some people, on the left mainly, are so apoplectic about Donald Trump having won this election fair and square, even with the Russian hackers, even with all the other things that people point to, that they're saying, oh, if we only could get 37 Republican electors to flip, in other words, to defy the will of the people, to screw the fact that their states voted for Trump and to vote for, I don't know, John Kasich, Hillary, you name it, then we could keep Trump out of the White House. Can you imagine the uproar in the country, the anger and frustration of what would essentially be overturning the election? Yes, it's a technicality that the electors picked the president, but it has been just a formality for almost a couple of centuries now. And yet people I really respect, journalists and commentators who, I may disagree with on this, that, or the other, but I think are smart and sensible, and they've, written books and that sort of thing, are actually putting their prestige behind this. On the liberal side, we have E.J. Dionne. He's written books on politics. Washington Post columnist, MSNBC contributor, he says, well, if that's the way the electors feel, then they should just go ahead and do it. And he cites Alexander Hamilton, and he says Trump doesn't deserve the presidency because he wasn't nice to Mitt Romney and a bunch of other reasons. And then in the sort of moderate right, you have Kathleen Parker, who also writes a column for the Washington Post, who's been doing this a long time. She used to have a CNN show. And she basically comes out and says, this is why there is an electoral college specified in the Constitution in order to deny the presidency from somebody who's so obviously unfit. Well, this is really starting to sound like Trump derangement syndrome. And let's just flip the script for just a second. So imagine that Hillary Clinton had narrowly won an electoral college victory, but lost the popular vote. And a lot of people were really upset about that, and they thought there were other reasons. And then imagine if there were people on the right who were saying, if we can just get some electors to flip, we could deny Hillary Clinton the presidency. What would the New York Times, the Washington Post, the networks, the magazines, the Huffington Post, and most websites do? They would go insane. They would say this is stealing the election. Well, guess what? It would be stealing the election. Now, it's not going to happen, so maybe I have wasted your time. But it is so telling that even some people in the mainstream media think this is a viable course of action. That's crazy.